All right, so I watched the debate between Oz and Fetterman, and how bad was it? It was this bad. It was almost unwatchable. But I watched it anyway, so let's talk about it. Hello everyone, this is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. So I watched an hour of the entire debate, ran an hour, between Oz and Fetterman, and then I came away feeling sorry for Fetterman. I wouldn't vote for him, but I don't live in Pennsylvania anyway, but I did step away feeling really bad for the guy. I learned more about his party and the people backing him than I learned about Fetterman. And I guess that's what really matters, because there isn't really much to know about a guy who suffered from a stroke. I mean, what are you going to learn? But the debate itself was just really, it was just a menagerie. It was just a debacle. He should have never, look, the problem is, it's not that he should have never agreed to the debate. He should have never agreed to run after he had a stroke. Let me give you a little example of just how it started. The first 10 seconds says it all.
Qualifies you to be a U.S. Senator. You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody.
See? Right there. It just starts off weird. You didn't have high expectations for the guy, because I think everyone knows what happened to him by now, but it got worse.
2018 interview, you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all. I never have." But earlier this month, you told an interviewer, quote, "I support fracking. I support the energy independence that we should have here in the United States." So, Mr. Fetterman, please explain your changing position. 60 seconds.
I've always supported fracking, and I always believe that independence with our energy is critical, and we can't be held, ransom to somebody like Russia. I've always believed that energy independence is critical, and I've always believed that, and I do support fracking. I've never taken any money from their industry, but I support how critical it is that we produce our own energy and create energy independence.
I must correct the record.
Just a second, Mr. Oz. I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all." So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand, and I do support fracking.
Oh man, if this were a boxing match, they'd have called it right there. That's the 10 count, standing 10 count right there. Man, like I said, hard to watch. I felt bad for the guy. I don't think Fetterman is a bad person. I think he's a human being with bad ideas, and we don't need that in the Senate. So, feelings aside, you don't need any more bad ideas in the Senate. It affects all of us. He suffered a stroke 6 months ago. So, why are we just finding out about how bad he is right now? Well, the reason being is we have an election season. I think that's part of the driving factors to this. Instead of having an election day, we have like weeks of election time. So I think his campaign, their plan was to either avoid the debate altogether, or at least give one debate as close to election as possible, so you get as many votes in during the election season as you possibly can, before you reveal to the client that the candidate ain't all there, that he can't perform his job. By then, you got maybe millions of people voted, and it's too late. I think that is a form of voter disenfranchisement, and that's done by the candidacy itself. Because everyone should have the same amount of information, at least this access or the opportunity to have the same amount of information when they go to the polls. If you're going to the polls 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks ahead of time, you're definitely not going to have all the info you as someone who goes on election day. So I think to even the playing field, and the Democrats are always talking about fairness and trying to have equity in order to make it as equal as possible, everyone should vote on one day. Make it a holiday. Everyone has access to the same information when they go to the polls. You have informed voters, or at least the opportunity to have more informed voters when you have it on one day. This debate and this tactic that the Democrats did to try and hide this guy like you did with Biden, to hide his background and let people go out and vote, is a form of voter disenfranchisement. That's my opinion. So that's one problem. The other thing is, again, the guy, on a personal note, does he not have any friends? Is no one that loves Fetterman in his life? Because I just heard a neurologist say that it's the first 6 months when you could do the most harm or do the most good to someone who has suffered a stroke. In the first 6 months is when you can make the most progress with extreme therapy, aggressive therapy, and after that, the window of opportunity is gone, or at least dwindles off. So someone who watches behavior said, this is 6 months in, so this is it's not going to get any better at this point. So the opportunity to send this poor guy into therapy to try and recover some of his cognitive abilities probably gone. Instead of having him in therapy for his own good, they had him running a campaign for the good of the party. Look, the Democrats are down with sacrificing someone for their quest for power, and Fetterman is yet another sacrifice for that, because I think he cannot perform his duties in the Senate. He needs 2 giant teleprompters just for this debate. They had to set all sorts of things up. You probably, unless you watch the entire debate, and by the way, I think the moderators did a very good job. They did follow-up questions. I think they were fair. Praise to them. They did a pretty good job, in my opinion. But anyway, they showed a couple of clips of the monitors. They're really big. They're like 50, 60, 75-inch screens. There are 2 of them. It's a closed caption software that captures what's being said, since Fetterman has lost the ability to process spoken words, and it puts him up on teletype. He gets to read them, and he responds. So sometimes he responds a little slowly because he's reading and trying to get it in his head what to say. I can understand that. But quite a few times, and the fracking question was an example of it, I don't think he understands even what's being read anymore, what he reads. I think he's losing that ability too. And it might be due to the fact that they didn't let the man go to therapy as he should have, and they had him on a campaign trail doing all these things he shouldn't have been doing. Again, it shows zero concern for the individual, because his party is a party of group rights and the collective. The individual is just a cog, and that's all this guy really is to them. He's just a cog. Fetterman's just a placeholder. I think if he wins, they're going to replace him pretty quickly. They're going to say, for health reasons, we're going to just replace him with some guy that you didn't vote for, you never heard of, but he's going to do everything we want him to do, and that's all Fetterman was there to do anyway. Either to do everything we wanted him to do, whatever the party wanted, or just at least hold the place so we could stick someone in there who can actually communicate and do his job. The other thing I think that at least the senators themselves should be concerned with is at one point, the Senate was considered the greatest deliberative body, as by James Buchanan, the 15th president. Obviously, no one cares about that anymore because, hey, the Democrats thought that Robert KKK Byrd was the conscience of the Senate. So that's gone to crap anyway. Because if you have a Klansman who's the conscience of the Senate, then you don't really care about the Senate anyway. It's just full of crap. But there's only 100 senators at any one time. And that's out of the entire world population. Only 100 people in this very exclusive club And most of them are doctors or lawyers or businessmen, very high-ranking, supposedly intelligent, unless you watch Mazie Hirona, supposedly intelligent people. And now what you're telling them by saying Fetterman can join your club is, your degrees are nice, but here's a guy who's just suffered a stroke and he can do your job too. You'd think they'd be a little insulted, the other 99 members of your club, but I guess at least half of them are going to shut the hell up because they know it's to feed the machine. That's all Fetterman is there to do, just be a part of the machine, whether his brain is fully functioning or not. But it says a lot about our current society when we're we're ready to vote for someone who probably couldn't qualify as an Uber driver. We're willing to give him one of the most powerful jobs on the planet. Well, like I said, it's pretty depressing. I hope that Oz wins, not only just to, swing power back to maybe a little more common sense in D.C., but also maybe someone will take care of Fetterman and give him the help that he needs in order to try and have some semblance of a normal life. Because Senate's not worth the Senate's not worth this to anyone individually. But again, the Democrats want power and they don't care who they squash, step on, or ignore to get there. But that's the ugliest thing I think about this entire debate that happened last night. Just not so much the debate itself, but it just shows you the length that some parties will go to retain power. But that's my opinion. What's yours? Like, share, comment, and subscribe.